started thinking it. I guess when all was said and done, I was nothing more than a goddamn trendy-ass poser.
Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy. Why do you do this every time? Every single time. Jesus.
It's Drewski McGillicuddy's Re-animator movie review.
Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy. And this is Herbert West. And he's a crazy motherfucker. And he's from this movie, Re-animator. I'm starting in the middle. So yeah, I had never seen Re-animator, and apparently that's a big deal. And I was ridiculed and laughed at. So I'm like some people, I went ahead, I watched it, now I'm going to review it real quick. So, Re-animator is from 1985, and it's directed by Stuart Gordon, and it stars a bunch of people from the 80s. But anyway, it's about Dan is a medical student, and he gets a new roommate, Herbert West, who has a serum that reanimates dead tissue. And they're going to the medical school, and Herbert thinks he's smarter than, what's the doctor's name?
Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill, who, you know, right away, something about him I didn't like. But
His
Herbert,
face.
yeah, his face. But Herbert kind of reminded me of Frankenstein from Day of the Dead. Just his mannerisms and the way his voice sounded just like how Frankenstein in Day of the Dead sounds. So, and that's not the only thing. There was a couple scenes in this movie, especially the black guy in the morgue that was a zombie. He was blue, and that felt like an homage to Dawn of the Dead. And then there was a couple other things I can't remember off the top of my head, but I noticed a couple little nods. Oh yeah, the Megan's father, the dean of the school, once he becomes a zombie, he's walking around with his hair looking all crazy, and he looks like the escalator zombie from Dawn of the Dead, where if you haven't seen it, Cody Leach probably has no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, the escalator zombie. If you've seen Dawn of the Dead, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't feel like looking up the pictures, but I might. So if I do, here's the contrasted comparison pictures. If not, you know, here's me holding my fucking fingers up.
Point to the Lord.
But anyway, so Herbert moves in with Dan, and right away Megan doesn't like him because he's creepy as fuck. I wouldn't let him live with me. But
he paid cash.
But you know, she's telling him I don't like him. He gives me the creeps, and then she's talking about how the cat doesn't like him. Well, I saw where this was going a mile away. God damn it, they killed the cat. You don't do that. But then they did bring it back to life. But then it scratched the shit out of Herbert, so he killed him again. But then he brought him back to life again so that he could prove that he's fucking crazy. So the next step is to obviously blackmail Dan into helping him reanimate human specimens. And so he sneaks him into the morgue, and yeah, that's where all hell kind of breaks loose. And Megan's father goes down there and catches him, and the corpse that they reanimated. You know what? I'm not going to tell you. You need to watch. If you haven't seen this movie, you're no better than I am. You fucking pieces of shit. And that leads me to my next thing. I was going to make a whole video about it, but nobody in killer flicks has ever seen any killer flick, especially Stephen Arthur. Stephen Arthur owns 95% of the horror movies that exist in the world, and he's only seen 5% of them. That's sad. So Stephen, you're gonna have to call off work. Take a week off, man, and then just, you know, watch, you know, all the like essentials that you haven't seen, like Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Like, what the fuck? Here I am giving Cody and Lee shit, and Stephen hasn't seen Nightmare on Elm Street 3: The Dream Warriors. Are you serious? Alright, anyway, let's get back to Re-animator. So, this, it gets even crazier after this scene. Once, Dr. Hill tries to blackmail
Herbert.
This is Herbert. Remember that, guys? Do you remember that this is Herbert? Okay. Anyway, he tries to blackmail Herbert into letting him steal his discovery. And so Herbert naturally cuts his head off with a shovel. And then somehow Hill still gets the upper hand, even though he's a fucking guy walking around with his head in a tray, which is, you know, the fucking practical effects in this movie are amazing. This is like I would love to see a remake of this movie, but I would not want them to fucking do the CGI. Just do the whole head in a sheet sticking out of the, you know, whatever thing. It's fucking great. Anyway, then, you know, Herbert gets knocked out by his headless corpse, and then he takes and sneaks into the morgue, which is funny because he sneaks in with his little diorama of like the sinuses and stuff. He puts that on his head and sneaks into the morgue and starts experimenting some more. And then that's where we get to the climax, which is honestly one of the coolest third acts I've ever seen. I loved it. It was great. And then that leads me to the Jason Smith's favorite scene. It's a headless zombie rape scene. Well, it's not really rape, but it's attempted rape for the most part. I mean, it's attempted muff diving. But yeah, that's why Jason Smith loves this movie, because there's tits galore, and Megan's got she's got a nice rack on her, I ain't gonna lie.
But she's got a huge bush.
She's got a huge bush. It's got a huge bush. And, you know, normally they don't show the bush, but they show the bush in this movie. And that's why Jason Smith from Sinister Cinema likes it, because he likes the bush. There's also some floppy ass granny titties, and he probably likes them too, because he's a sick fuck. Anyway, so I don't want to spoil anything else, but yeah, the climax of this movie is fucking nuts. But yeah, this movie's crazy, and you know, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it a solid. Oh God, what am I doing?
6.
No. We're gonna do a 7.5. Let's go into it. I'm between a 7 and an 8 to 7.5 because it was really, really, really good, but it wasn't great. It was really, really, really good though. I'm definitely glad I have it. I'll probably buy all the editions. Basically, I mean, it's not in my top 10, but it's definitely in the top 20 zombie movies, because it's not even really like most zombie movies. This is his own beast. This isn't like the Return of the Living Dead. This isn't like Night of the Living Dead. This isn't like 28 Days Later. This is its own subgenre of zombie movies, because they don't eat people. They're just violent, and you know, it's fucking crazy. So yeah, 7.5. If you haven't seen Re-animator, go check it out. If you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, go fucking check that out. If you haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, go fucking check that out. And if you haven't seen Sinister Cinema's channel, you know, fucking skip it. It's fucking gay.
He is not.